Meanwhile, let's do this from Sonny Perdue. This is talk about having a bit of a tin ear. Farmers have yet to desert Donald Trump, supposedly, because, of course, they've been paying out huge sums of money.
The dole.
To subsidize. I imagine most of those subsidies are not necessarily getting to small farms. And here's Sonny Perdue trying to make light. He is, of course, the head of he's the agricultural secretary, trying to make light of Donald Trump's dumb trade wars, like completely just flailing around with what appears to be no logic whatsoever. And really, at the end of the day, so that they can get better copyright, it seems to me, issues that, like, I'm not sure are really a problem for farmers. But here's Sonny Perdue basically making a joke that falls a little flat.
In rural Redwood County, all signs pointed to Farm Fest, the annual ag fair, but this time with some extra tension in the air.
We need new products going forward, given the situation we have on the ground today.
U.S. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue sat down for a listening session in a big shed jam-packed with active and retired farmers.
What do you call two farmers in a basement? I said, I don't know. What do you call them? He said, a wine cellar.
Beyond the laughter, many here are dead serious about their worries over the trade war with China, which has been a major buyer of Minnesota crops.
This is causing a long-term devastating damage to not only farmers, but rural communities.
Ag Committee Chair Colin Peterson hosted this event and brought along 4 other members of the Minnesota delegation, including Angie Craig.
There you go. They're You're whiners.
A wine cellar.
Yeah. I don't think that goes over very well.
Yeah, I think every farmer's just like, oh, okay, good joke. I'm going to forget my grievances now.
Yeah.
That you called me a whiner. That farmers love to be called things like that.
Yeah. Whoever runs against Trump, hopefully Bernie, needs to hammer him on trade.
On trade, but also agricultural. The Democrats have always been, Obama talked a decent game in 2008 about some type of agricultural reform in this country and never really delivered for farmers. Really, we end up having just huge, big giveaways to major conglomerates. But I don't know if, aside from just being completely illogical, I don't know that Bernie's going to be able to make a critique on Trump's trade that anybody else wouldn't be able to be honest with you. I mean, I think, like, theoretically, Bernie would not be too, if Trump was able to execute what he sort of thinks he's doing on some level, Bernie wouldn't be too far apart in terms of objectives. I mean, I think Bernie would be far more interested in sort of labor protections in other countries and whatnot. But in terms of, like, protecting American industry and keeping offshoring, I mean, theoretically they're the same. But the critique of Trump's trade policies is just like, they don't make any sense.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily anything specifically Bernie can do rhetorically, but we do know his donation come from a lot, like, those rural communities, right? Like, his map covers all that stuff way better than any other candidate does.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about trade, this isn't the same thing as the trade war with China exactly, but NAFTA 2.0, the thing that Trump signed, I think Bernie has much more of a leg to stand on criticizing NAFTA-like trade deals than any of the other Democrats.
I think that's possible. I think that's possible. I think they'll all critique it on some level.